Hi, and welcome to Destination Michigan. We're here to explore the beauty, creativity, and destinations in our Great Lakes state. Tonight, we'll meet some outstanding Michiganders, and we'll travel across the Mitten to visit the communities that make Michigan unique. Our journey takes off in Traverse City tonight, home of Michigan's only certified biodynamic tea farm. Then we head to Acme, where a team of artists is keeping old world arts alive at the Stained Glass Cabinet Company. Next up, a visit to the state's oldest continuously operating cider mill in Dexter, where you can still get a cup of fresh cider made the same way they've been making it for more than 120 years. And then Bob Garner takes us to Alpena to explore underwater shipwrecks on one of his favorite cruises. I'm Courtney Jerome, and you're tuned in to Destination Michigan.
Support for Destination Michigan is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University-owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com. The CMU Bookstore, online at cmubookstore.com, on campus in the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the CMU Events Center.
Tea is second only to water in being the most consumed beverage in the world. So we were surprised to learn there's only one tea farm in Michigan. And not only that, it's the only certified organic and Demeter biodynamic commercial grower of tea plants in North America. Destination Michigan's Stephanie Mills takes us to Light of Day Organics, where one woman's passion for tea and the earth has brewed into a thriving business and tourist destination.
Past the hustle and bustle of Traverse City, life starts to slow down when you begin exploring all that Light of Day Organics has to offer.
This is white tea, so every 28 to 32 days, the tea plant pops out a new terminal bud right here. So this is just primo. This is as good as it gets right here.
There's no denying Angela Mackey's love for tea. For her, it's not just a plant. It's a way of life infused at her farm along M72.
What we've kind of noticed is Light of Day Farm has become a premier health and wellness destination for people. They're coming to learn about tea. They know, they just feel drawn. They want to come to this farm. And what they're looking for is relief from inflammation. Like, that is the chief complaint we hear about always, is just, oh, I have this itis or that itis, or what do you have to make me nicer or sleep better or feel happier?
Much like treating something that's bothering you, growing tea is a very delicate process and extremely labor-intensive. It takes 70,000 tea buds picked by hand to make one finished pound of tea. But the key to Angela's farm takes root in biodynamic agriculture, which is a form of organic farming developed by Rudolf Steiner 90 years ago.
His ideas were founded in these old-fashioned techniques that require less work and less money. These are homeopathic remedies that help heal the earth and the soil and all living beings with spending less and using less energy. Our crop yield is 30% higher than it was before we started using homeopathic preparations in the soil. Conventional farming always takes more from the earth than it gives back. Organic farming, the goal is to replace what you took. And biodynamic farming always gives back to the earth, always gives more than it took.
That sustainability is evident throughout the farm. The buildings are made with lumber from the property, electricity is generated through solar panels, and bees who live here pollinate the plants and flowers.
Angela grows more than 270 botanicals here at her farm. She harvests them to make dozens of unique and one-of-a-kind teas that she sells not only here in her store, but in restaurants across Michigan.
To me, it represents just a level of authenticity and uniqueness that I just think the world is so hungry for. I mean, almost everyone that walks in the store said, do you grow everything here at the farm? I mean, people are just starving for that because so much of what we eat travels at least 1,000 miles before it ends up on our plate.
From tea tasting and tea classes, learning how to slurp, or just relaxing on the grounds with a picnic basket or inside a yurt, at Light of Day, you get the full cultural and spiritual experience tea has inspired for hundreds of years.
We hope that when people come in, they're engaged visually by what they see, through what they can smell, through what they can taste, and just we hope that they feel it in their whole being, like that there's something different about this place, and we hope that they leave feeling happier and calmer and healthier than they did before they arrived.
For more information about Michigan's only tea farm, their website is lightofdayorganics.com. Now, staying in Northwest Michigan for another stop tonight, we visit a team that takes art to a whole new level. At the Stained Glass Cabinet Company, they make a lot more than just stained glass. And lucky for us, they gave us an inside look.
We build our furniture, we hand paint our glass, either on vases or old windows. I do stone wheel engraving on this 126-year-old engraving machine. We grow and press all of our own flowers. We do intarsia, which is fancy word for scroll saw work. We do mosaics, which is cutting small pieces of stained glass and applying them to either glass or wood and tile grouting in between them. We make these little critters out of globs of glass. A lot of art glass, a lot of stained glass. Shirley does beautiful lamps. Everyone here is so multi-talented. I mean, you see one dimension of what they can do, but if you talk to each one of us, we have so many different hats that we can wear and do so many different forms of art. It's pretty amazing.
The Stained Glass Cabinet Company has been in business for 35 years now, and the art they offer and staff that creates it has evolved over the years to what you see today. When you look throughout the 3,000 square foot showroom, it's nearly impossible to see everything they have to present at first glance. From smaller gift items to stained glass panels, lamps, and furniture, the variety of art is apparent. Co-owner Scott Johnson says that about half the work they do nowadays is custom, and those designs often become standard items that are even named after the customer.
Well, if someone comes in, say, looking for a new dining room lamp, they may bring a piece of their wallpaper with them that has colors or design in. Looking at a couple of the lamps that were sitting right here by, this lamp was originally inspired by a couple that came in with a wallpaper border. And the vine design was actually in their wallpaper border. And so we designed a lamp for them, and we liked it so well we've continued to do that as a standard item. Or perhaps in our lighting with the wildflowers, they'll bring in also a wallpaper sample, or maybe even a piece of china that's got a floral design in it, and we'll pull colors and design from the china and incorporate that into the lamp.
Among the list of custom orders made by the Stained Glass Cabinet Company is engraved glass by co-owner Richard Bruning. He's one of the only sandblasting stone wheel engraving artists in the state of Michigan, and he creates his art on a machine that's over 125 years old.
This machine was built in Stuttgart, Germany, and came over to the States in 1886. It started out in Fostoria, Ohio. Fostoria Glass. They opened their doors in 1886, and they were probably the country's biggest producer of engraved glass. They ended up closing in 1978. But I met Al Tavernier 35 years ago, and so we struck up this friendship, and Al started cutting glass for us, and he engraved glass for us for 9 years. Then he had a couple of small heart attacks, and he didn't have any children to pass it on to. We weren't sure where it was going with his health, and so I stepped up to the plate and I said, Al, would you be willing to apprentice me? And he said, if you're willing to put the time in. I said, I'm here. I love what you do, teach me. So we were able to set up his grandpa's machine in here, and for 5 years he would come in and teach me different aspects of this art. But then I started adding things of my own to it, like the sandblasting, and that just changed it all over again, and I had to keep practicing. And even still today, people challenge me with things to engrave, like their pets. I've been blessed to be able to continue this art form because no one wants to learn how to do this. And no one's willing to put the 5 years in of the apprenticeship. This machine is just incredible. It's a piece of history that it just runs forever. So I'll keep doing it as long as I can.
Continuing the tradition of keeping old world arts alive is the mission of this Northern Michigan company. That and creating relationships with their customers.
All the years that we've done this, it's our intention that we're not making customers, we're making friends. We love to have people walk in the door and say, you know, hi Scott, we're back. What's new? Or give us updates on their kids or grandkids. And over the years, we're now seeing third generation coming in. Having our friends come back in and see us is certainly the best part of what we do.
The Stained Glass Cabinet Company's main building is in Acme on M72, and they have a second shop location in downtown Suttons Bay. Next, we visit the Dexter Cider Mill, where it feels like you're taking a step back in time, because in the autumn season, you're able to get a cup of cider the same way they've been making it for more than a century now. Destination Michigan's Stephanie Mills shows us how this cider mill is preserving the past, press after press.
All right. All right, Mom. Thank you. Come on, bite that donut. I want to get your reaction. Good? Yes? All right. Very good. Terrific.
Located on the banks of the Huron River right near the heart of the community, the Dexter Cider Mill has become a destination for generations of families, students, and people across Michigan and the world.
We have had an interesting situation where a gentleman came in last year or the year before and took pies back to Dubai, frozen. So he had his wife had the oven on when he arrived and walked in the door, and they baked 2 frozen pies from the Dexter Cider Mill in Dubai.
The Kaziski family bought the cider mill 27 years ago when it was in its 100th year. For Richard, it wasn't completely unfamiliar territory.
Well, you know, it started off being kind of a hobby, but it had a history that I was familiar with in the sense that my wife had lived in the area for her family for a lot of years. But going back further than that, I'm from Massachusetts and was raised in the Berkshire Mountains, where we have a lot of apple trees. And I grew up picking apples as a kid. So I had an understanding of cider and apples.
The cider mill was first used in the late 1800s as a place for farmers to bring their apples at the end of the season. Today, the Kaziski family uses a variety of locally grown and hand-picked apples to create unique blends of cider. But what makes them stand out even more is that they make the cider the same way it was made 120 years ago by using an oak press.
It's important to know as part of this process that we always blend our apples. We understand the properties that every apple that we use has. It could be aromatic, it could be acidic, it could be sweet, it could have an aroma, and it could be the color. When we get about 30 some odd bushels of apples assembled that way, we put them into the press, we start the equipment, and the equipment again forces the rest of the cider out of the mash. And then we transfer the cider by hoses into our refrigerated tanks.
Cold or hot cider isn't the only big draw. Here they make and sell a variety of baked goods from strudels to pies, and of course, They're delicious donuts.
My focus is the cider. I like to blend the cider, and I think it's very good, except when you go on the internet, all that everybody ever talks about is the donuts. And my wife is a food technician. She worked for Kellogg's for several years. She's got it down to a science. We'll put our donut up against anybody's in the world, to be honest with you.
Science aside, the secret to the small mill's success is about keeping history alive, which has helped them garner a huge following over the years.
I think the people we meet and being able to carry on the tradition. You know, we are able to show people something that was done 100 years ago. We want kids to see that so they don't think that you go to the grocery store and grab a gallon and that's how you get your cider. So it's important for us to have the younger kids know that this is how it started over 100 years ago.
If you've been in business for 125 years, there's a chance that you might create a following. And now we have what I call a generational customer. In other words, I'm looking at third and fourth generations coming here.
Good to see you. Take care. When I started, I watched kids come in as babies who now are bringing their own families in with their parents and, you know, who are now grandparents. I love continuing my dad's dream on, just before I get a little upset. I love what we do, and it's a simple process. It is a lot of work, but we have so much fun doing it that, yeah, we go home tired, but it's a great tired.
The Dexter Cider Mill opens in late August and closes at the end of November each year. For more information, their website is dextercidermill.com. Now located in Lake Huron, Thunder Bay has earned the nickname of Shipwreck Alley. The National Marine Sanctuary here protects this 448 square mile collection of preserved shipwrecks. Visitors are invited to learn about the rich history of the Thunder Bay at the Great Lakes Maritime Heritage Center, or view the shipwrecks from a glass-bottom boat. Tonight, Bob Garner takes us aboard the shipwreck tour along the Alpena shores.
Alpena is one of my favorite destinations. Known for its cement manufacturing, it was at one time the largest cement producer in the world. But it was always a dangerous place for the old ships of the Great Lakes. Thunder Bay is adjacent to one of Lake Huron's most dangerous stretches. Unpredictable weather, fog banks, sudden gales, and rocky shoals caused this area to be known as Shipwreck Alley. Today we'll get a chance to visit some of those shipwrecks in the 448 square mile Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary. We'll be aboard the glass-bottom boat, the Lady Michigan, for one of its last runs of the season. Captain Paul Lebrecht is our captain, and Chuck is our tour guide. Paul, what is there about Thunder Bay that makes it such an unusual place that it would actually be a national monument or historical site?
Just the concentration of the shipwrecks here in our area. Back in the mid-1800s, Alpena was the maritime shipping mecca of the North. Once they opened up the Erie Canal and all these shippers come into the Great Lakes, Alpena Port became very super busy because we had huge pine trees here, and they're very sought after. Some as large as 10 feet in diameter. So that kind of started the shipping revolution here.
What was it that caused all these ships to wreck it, to just go asunder and stuff?
Well, being that there was so much ship traffic, they were running into each other. They would have fires. A lot of different instances where they would sink these ships. There was just so much traffic, ship traffic out here.
How many shipwrecks are out there?
There's thousands.
Thousands of shipwrecks?
Thousands of shipwrecks. There's shipwrecks out there that have never even been found yet.
But there are sailing vessels out there too, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Plenty of sailing.
Most of the vessels back in the day before the freighters started entering into service, they were all sailors, double and triple mast sailors. We have ships out here in deeper water, ships like part of the Caribbean, and they're sitting down there as preserved as the day they went down. That's what's very important about our water. It's fresh, cold water. It's like a giant refrigerator, and it preserves these wrecks.
Paul, the tours are different every day, aren't they?
The tours are different every day. We go out the mouth of the river and we go right or left. You know,
Doesn't matter where you go because you're going to find a shipwreck.
either way, we find a shipwreck.
The people tend to huddle right around that glass bottom portion of the boat, don't they?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's the feature everybody's looking for?
That's the feature. A lot of times you can see the whole shipwreck from up top. So what a lot of people will do is they'll go down, they'll see it through the glass bottom, and then we usually go over it 2 or 3 times so everybody can get a great view. And then they'll come up top and look at it from up above and go, oh my gosh, this thing's huge, you know? So it kind of puts it in perspective when they're able to see it up above.
To learn more about this 2-hour cruise, information can be found at alpenashipwrecktours.com. Well, now we conclude our episode with a little Destination Michigan trivia for you. The Carl T. Johnson Hunt and Fish Center is located in which Michigan State Park? Stay tuned for the answer.
Support for Destination Michigan is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University-owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com. The CMU Bookstore, online at cmubookstore.com, on campus in the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the CMU Events Center.
Our Destination Michigan trivia question for the night: in which Michigan State Park will you find the Carl T. Johnson Hunt and Fish Center? The answer is Mitchell State Park in Cadillac. The Carl T. Johnson Center is named for the founder of the Michigan Conservation Foundation, who is a lifelong supporter of hunting and fishing. Thanks for joining us tonight on Destination Michigan. We hope you'll tune in again and learn more about the state we all love to call home.